Both of those saws, the chains are identical on them. They're both cutting. They're brand new chains on both saws. I have not touched either chain, nothing on them. They're very, very sharp. Hey, y'all be quiet. So you can see, that's the, come on man, focus up. That's the Oregon chain. This is a 63 gauge. This is a 20-inch bar, 63 gauge, 325. Hey! This is a 20-inch bar, 50 gauge, same exact chain, except in a 50 gauge. So the first part of this video was filmed about 2 weeks ago, I guess. I'm gonna show you it's full of gas and oil. This is gonna be the comparison video and my likes and dislikes between the 261 Stihl and the 550 Husqvarna. See if chain oil's completely full. Gas on the 550 is full. I can already tell you before I weigh them that the 550 is going to be heavier than the 261. See, the oil's full on it too. But that's kind of one of the only two things that I like better about the 261. We'll get into that more here in just a little bit. We're about to weigh both of these saws. Like I said, both of them are 50 cc's. Right there, 50, and right there is 50. Which is very odd for both manufacturers to make a saw the exact CC. I think for the most part, both manufacturers don't make saws the exact same CC across the board, except for these two, because technically you can't compare them apples to apples. So if you've got one that's got one or two more CCs than the other one, or there's vice versa, you cannot technically compare them, and I think that's why they do it. They don't want to be right there neck and neck on the same CCs. However, both of these saws are identically 50cc. So this is going to be a little fun right here. All right, so we got the scale zeroed there. Both saws, as I showed just a second ago, are full of gas and oil. See what the scales read out at. So the Stihl 261 is 15 pounds, 12.2 ounces. Let me note this, both saws have 20-inch bars on them. This is the Stihl Roller-Matic bar. The Husqvarna has the X-Force Husqvarna bar. The chains are identical on both these saws. There are no difference between the chains on them. They're identical. Both of them are Oregon. I believe they're LPX full chisel, I believe. Let me sit it down here and get out of the way. Set the Husqvarna up here. So we're at 16 pounds, 4 ounces on it, full of fuel. Like I told you, the Husqvarna is going to be a little bit heavier. $15, $12. And 16.4. So a few ounces difference, 4, 8 ounces, I guess. Wouldn't that be right, I think? All right, so here we go. These saws are pretty close in weight comparison. I was thinking that it was going to be a little bit further apart than that as far as the weights go. And they both I was kind of surprised at that, because I thought I had weighed them, and I thought earlier a while back, and I was thinking that there was a little bit more difference between them than that. So I've been running the 550 this next month. It'll be 2 years old. I deem this saw, its nickname is a Screaming Demon. I like that saw. I've always loved that saw and always will. For 50cc saw, and what you're getting, and they're actually rating these saws with cutting capacity. I mean, you can actually fell timber with both of these saws right here. I think the RPM top end on the 550, I think it tops out at 15,500, I believe. I may be wrong on that. 261 is not going to turn quite that many RPMs. I'm not sure about who holds more or less gas than the other one. I do know this, the 550 will run for a very long time on a tank of fuel. The 261 does burn more fuel than the 550 does. So straight out of the gate, obviously one thing I don't like on the Stihl is the gas and oil caps on them. I have 3 Stihls. This one, the 500, sitting there on the floor, the fuel injected saw, and the 362 over there, and all 3 of them leak gas out around the cap. I have to keep them all turned over. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the 50cc saws. I am very disappointed in the Stihls with that happening, because basically, if you stand those saws up like that right there, they are costing you money and they're not even running. On the 500 to 572 video that I did, there's about 400 comments on that video now. There's a lot of dislikes about these quarter turn fuel and oil caps on these saws right here. All right, likes and dislikes between these two saws. These two saws are both the same CC and all that like that. Of course, this is an Ergonomics saw. This is an auto tune saw right there. You could hear the running difference between them out there. To both of them 20-inch bars, identical chains, both of them Oregon LPX 325 full chisel chains on these saws. Both the top covers come off in one piece here. For whatever reason, the Stihl decided to put a decomp button on a 50cc saw. I have no idea why. Makes no sense to do that, because a 2-year-old can do it. I don't like that on the Stihl because you got to have a scrunch to pop them loose, or a screwdriver to get them undone. The Husqvarna, you can take any stick or anything like that and pop them undone to get the top cover off. The Husqvarna Stihl is going to smoke steel on pre-cleaning the air before it goes to the air filter. I'm not sure that Stihl will ever catch up to that right there. The fuel caps on the Husqvarna are much better. One notable difference is the Husqvarna has an outboard clutch which sets the bar and chain over closer to the center of the saw, which is a lot better on the way you feel the saw when you're rotating it vertical, horizontal. A lot better as far as that goes, because you don't feel the centrifugal force as bad when you're flipping it back and forth. You can see where it is right here on this saw. The Stihl has an inboard clutch on it, puts the bar and chain further out to the outside. You feel more of the centrifugal force from the chain on the saw. Hence, you get more feedback through it. The anti-vibe is better on the Husqvarna than it is on the Stihl right there. Ergonomics are much better on the Husqvarna than the Stihl. You can look at the grip size on the Stihl, much smaller, a lot smaller handle. Wrap your hand all the way around it. The handle on the 550 fits my hand a lot better. The throttle is a wider throttle, a lot more radius around it, much more pleasant to the feel on this saw compared to the Stihl being flat and square right there. The way that you crank these saws are completely opposite. You got to hold the trigger in on the Stihl, push it down to get it all the way down on choke like that right there, and then when it cranks, you hit it right here, pulls it up to run. To kill the Stihl, up kills it. Makes no sense. The Husqvarna, you don't have to mash the trigger on it to get it on choke. You just pull out and go up. It's on choke. When the saw pops, push it down, it's on fast idle. Listen, click, off fast idle. To kill the saw, in the event you throw the chain off or something happens, you just touch it down right there. Why would Stihl make that where you got to push it up? At least it is a return to run. Both of them have that. Purge bulb, I'll take it any day of the week. Stihl needs to learn from Husqvarna on that. If you run this saw out of gas right here, completely out of gas, if this saw goes to run out of gas, you need to kill it, fill it up, and crank it back up and go. If you run this saw out of gas, you're fixing to pull the dog out of it to pull the gas back up into the carburetor to get it to crank. On Husqvarnas with the purge bulb on them, they're purges, they're not primers. You just purge them, and you can pump it as many times as you want to pump it, and all it does is it just circulates the gas up and back down to the thing. So if you run this saw slap out of gas, you just purge it 8-10 times. One pull crank, it cranks on the first pull every time. So the saws cost the same amount of money. If I'm gonna pick, I'm always gonna pick the Husqvarna over here. A lot of people say you need to have this one ported, polished, and muffler mod on it to make it really run and open up and all. Why do that and spend $200 or $300 on it doing that when you can buy a 550 straight off the shelf and it runs like a scalded egg? The only drawback to the 550 that I don't like is the dogs on it. I don't like the dog. Here's why. The top of that dog right there, you see how much further it protrudes out than the bottom. It's real easy to hang that dog. I think they could have done a better job on it. They need to do a better job on it. It needs to be redesigned. They need to offer us an option to put an outside dog on it. on this saw, could be easily done, especially if they redesign the side plate, the side cover right there. It could be done, because I would like to put some dogs on it like the 261, because they rate these saws, both of them, with cutting capacity. And if you're going to rate a saw with cutting capacity, in my opinion, here we need real dogs on the saw. See, these dogs on this saw do not curve out. These are aftermarket dogs. They are the West Coast saws, but you can also put the regular Stihl dogs. You can put the one on the outside side cover too. But the problem with that right there, with that dog protruding out, curved out on the top so much further, is when you're cutting down, when you got it down and you're coming up with it, it's very easy to stick that dog into what you're cutting if you're trying to make a full cut with that saw right there. And that is the only thing that I don't like about the 550. I'm telling you, people, if you've never run one of these saws, what this saw will do is mind-boggling for a 50cc saw. The power that they're getting out of them, man, and it'll run a 20-inch bar like it's not even on the saw, and it'll pull that full chisel chain all day long. So that's it right there. If I've got my option to go one way or the other, I'm going to go with the Husqvarna over the 261. I will not be keeping this saw. I'm not sure how. I'm going to film with it a little bit more and run it some more here a couple more months or so, I guess, and then I will be getting rid of it. I'm not sure how I will be doing that or what I'll do. More than likely, I'll probably put it on eBay and let y'all, somebody's interested in it, let y'all bid on it, and pick it up like that, and it'll be sold as is with the West Coast dogs on it, the 3 spikes on it, and it'll go away. So I'm gonna wrap this video up here, and let me flip this camera around. Let's see there we go. So I've had a lot of interest in the saw training, and if you're interested in it, I do have one more class coming up. I don't have anything scheduled after this next class. I'm gonna wait till this next class is over with, and then I'll schedule some more. But we've got a 3-day training coming up in Rome, Georgia, March the 12th through the 14th. So it's right around the corner. It's 3 days. It's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all day long. On Saturday, Friday is from 1 to 5, Saturdays all day, and then Sunday is from 8 to 3. And I have a information pack that has everything in it about the class, the hotels there that are available, and travel stuff like that, the airports, the whole 9 yards. And so if you're interested in that, email me and I'll send it back to you. There's going to be 3 of us teaching it. Tim Ard, David Breeden, and me. And Tim Ard, that's what he does for a living. He is a chainsaw trainer. He trains about 2,500 people a year, every year. That's his expertise right there. It's going to be hands-on, going to be actual tree felling going on that. And so the interest on it is really beginning to stir as we're kind of winding down within the last month of coming up to this thing. So if you're interested in it, you better get your name in the hat, quick, fast, and a hurry on that. And it's going to be a big deal. So like I said, just email me. My email is right down below, right there. So hope you enjoyed this. I just pointed out, things about the 2 saws and all that. The one main thing about the Husqvarna stuff for me compared with the Stihl, the ergonomics. The ergonomics are far more superior on the Husqvarna stuff than the Stihl stuff. I've had the Stihl stuff now since back in October of 2020, so we're looking at over 5 months of running that stuff now, and I run a lot of gas, put a lot of time on those Stihl saws and what have you. But so anyhow, appreciate y'all watching. We'll catch y'all later. Later, taters.